Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the final webinar in our series, diving into the iMasons 2024 State of the Industry Report. This segment is focused on perception, the one that ties it all together. Before we jump in, there are a few logistical things I want to touch on. This is an interactive session, as you know, and we want your input. So please provide your thoughts in the comments area of the live stream and engage with other audience members as we go along. You can also submit questions in the comments area, and our team will relay them to us as we answer them during the live stream. So your input is really important to us and very helpful as we continue to gather insights and fine-tune our approach to tackling these global challenges and building upon them for the future reports. Thanks again for spending your valuable time with us. So with that, let's dive in. My name is Dean Nelson. I'm the founder and chairman of iMasons. We are a professional association with over 6,000 people around the world, and they represent over $200 billion of digital infrastructure projects in 130 countries. We launched our community in 2016 to unite the builders of the digital age, and today we are proud to have united the industry on a greater digital future. Over the last year, we engaged with over 500 contributors across 50 different countries to gather their input for this report. This included member meetings, collaboration workshops with our strategic partners, advisory council sessions, and one-on-one conversations with owners of some of the largest digital infrastructure platforms in the world. In accordance with iMasons' values, all the content was anonymized, except where noted in the publication. These insights were then used to create the State of the Industry report we will be discussing more in detail today. The report provides a holistic picture of the importance of digital infrastructure and a guide to strategic decisions about where, when, and how digital infrastructure is built, operated, and maintained. Our community strongly believes it is essential that this growth occurs in an economically, ecologically, and socially responsible and sustainable manner. But first, let's start with an industry baseline. In 2021, iMasons reported that the digital infrastructure industry included 7 million data center locations all around the world, with a combined capacity of 105 gigawatts and an annual electricity consumption of 594 terawatt hours, representing 2.4% of the global electricity draw. Demand for electronic services will double, and could triple the size of the industry over the next decade, primarily driven by AI. And I'm going to stop here for a second and stress how different this trend is. I've been in the industry for 35 years now. I've seen grand predictions that will be doubling density, required liquid cooling, exceeding 10% power consumption globally, and we're going to run out of capacity. Remember the launch of the internet, cloud computing, social media, Bitcoin, and even edge computing? They all had a lot of these predictions. The AI boom is not only living up to the predictions, it's exceeding them faster than anyone has ever seen. 3 weeks ago, Colby Cox from DC Byte shared in our Power webinar that there has been an additional 12.5 gigawatts of capacity added to the global pipeline in the last 6 months. To put this in perspective, last year, Mark Gansey stated that AI will add 38 gigawatts of capacity demand by 2028. We've almost added a third of that capacity in less than half a year, and it's not slowing down. These numbers are staggering. So what this means is it makes the insights from this report and our discussion today even more relevant. The State of the Industry report identifies 4 critical challenges to fulfill this unprecedented demand. The challenges center on access to power capacity, attracting and retaining people, addressing industry perception to ensure we are a good neighbor where we operate, and maintaining our commitments to protect the planet. Today, we are diving deeper into perception. And joining me is one of our industry experts and a dear friend, Cyre Denny from Schneider Electric. But before she joins the live stream, I want to share a bit more about Cyre's background, as it is extremely relevant to the work we are undertaking to address industry perception. So Cyre serves as a strategic account executive in the cloud and service provider segment of Schneider Electric. She is also the Data Center Woman of the Year, demonstrating her unique ability to push the boundaries of technology and pave the way for inclusivity, and innovation. During her day job, she leads a large global team across 40 different countries to establish and drive organizational vision, operational strategy, and business growth. Her business and analytical skills help her see both the big picture and the intricate details that are needed to make strategic programs successful. She has over 15 years of experience working with Fortune 500 companies and leveraging her unique background, leadership, and forward-thinking approach to ensure that the future of digital infrastructure is both dynamic and inclusive. And I can attest that Cyre's had a unique perspective. She does add a unique perspective significantly because of the work on perception, because of her personal story. And let me tell you a little bit about that. She was born and raised by a single mother in the Bronx. Cyre and her family had to overcome many challenges, right? Issues from extreme poverty and drug addiction to mental illness. After addressing these challenges head on and being driven by a desire to chart a new course for herself, she prioritized her academic pursuits and sought out positive influences. Reconnecting with her father after his incarceration and subsequent rehabilitation significantly impacted her journey. This determination led her to pursue numerous scholarship opportunities and ultimately resulting in her acceptance to Syracuse University. Today, Cyre's passion and abilities help make the industry and the world a better place.
Something went wrong.
Cyre, thank you, and are an inspiration to us all. She's not afraid to respectfully challenge norms and is exceptionally well organized, and you'll see this as we talk. Those who know Cyre greatly admire her energy, effort, and enthusiasm. Her unyielding commitment to building or operating robust, scalable, and sustainable solutions and digital infrastructure has empowered businesses and connected communities. Cyre volunteers extensively with Schneider Electric and in the larger data center community. She is the president of the Latinx community for Infrastructure Masons that enhances education opportunities, championing diversity and inclusion, promoting innovation and technical excellence, and inspiring sustainability in the digital infrastructure industry. She is also the vice president of the New York City iMasons chapter. And finally, she is a member of the Hispanic Information Technology Executive Council, HITECH, through which she mentors young Hispanic professionals and students across the globe. So welcome, Cyre.
Wow. Hi, Dean. How are you? Thank you so
Doing
much for
good.
that introduction.
Yeah, I thought it was really important that we give a little context. So welcome to the live stream.
Thanks, Dean. I really appreciate that. And, hola, thank you everyone for coming. Mucho gusto verte aquí hoy. And Dean, it's really my pleasure. I'm so happy to be here sitting on our virtual sofa, kind of having this chat with you today. You're such a titan in the industry, and we've become really great friends through the years, and really excited to share what we're going to do today. And I got to give a shout out to Joe Reale, Mark Bittinger, and Claudia Massey, because they were really the magic that kind of connected us in the first place. So thanks again, Dean.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe it's only been 2 years ago. And I think Joe originally connected us. And anyway, it's just such a small community of people. But who knew we would be doing so much impactful work together? And I can't wait to share more about this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was like a coffee shop somewhere in Manhattan
Yep.
to now working on this initiative that's impacting people everywhere in the globe. I mean, it's just some magic that's happening. And I'm very thankful to the iMasons community for empowering us to do this.
Absolutely. All right. So lots of truth in that. I can't wait to see this. So let's dig in. I'm going to start with the first question. How did you come to be involved with this initiative, and why is the perception of the industry so important?
Yeah, thanks, Dean. So that's a really good question to tee us off. So I got involved with this initiative really through a combination of serendipity and passion. So as you said earlier, I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx in New York City, but today I live in Herndon, Virginia. I'm just a couple of minutes away from Data Center Alley. And for those of you who know, Data Center Alley is where 70% of the world's internet passes through. So I'm really deeply connected to the heartbeat of the industry. And even just a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to take my kids to the data center cloud run that was right through the actual sites that are underpinning the world. You know, when my teenager is on his cell phone playing games, he's looking at the big data center buildings and running through them, really getting a tangible understanding of what they are. So that was super cool. And just to share a quick story with you and everybody that's on the line with us today, it was a family dinner. I think it was Easter or something last year where my nephew, Cyre Denny, he got his first real job. And he was working for a local government official in Prince William County. And he expressed some concerns around the expansion of data centers in his community. And we had a lively conversation at the dinner table, eating some apple pie or something like that, and he's
Hmm.
sharing how people were concerned with the proximity of these data centers in their homes, the maybe noise, some of the power consumption concerns. And he even talked about historical landmarks. As a kid who loves history and trains and everything having to do with understanding where we come from, he was really passionate about that. And it was so inspiring to see the next generation, my nephew, from baby, and see him care so much about his community and
Hmm.
really becoming that active voice. And it was nice to see him being a voice that wasn't afraid. He was a voice that was reaching out to me and to the industry for partnership and engagement, not pushing us away, but wanting
Hmm.
to understand where we're coming from and learn how we can work better together. It's that to me is really what matters. It's what drives me every day. It's that local community connection that's important, not just in my day job, but in everything that we're doing. And
Hmm.
last year, Dean, I think you and Joe Reale, you guys led this great working session at the Schneider and Kohler Power Down Getting Green event in Scotland. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, yeah, that was actually a fun one. We introduced the unsustainable data center, which is a crazy thing because we flipped it around and said these are the things that are holding us back from achieving net zero, right? And all those people engaged because it was interesting as they looked at it, they were conflicted because they're like, no, I don't agree with that, but yeah, I do agree with that as an assumption.
Yep,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think that was a real pivotal point for the industry as a whole.
Hmm.
What you guys did there in Scotland was really identify perception. That's what became the top concern at that
Yep.
conference.
Hmm.
And it was the data centers that were really being seen as the enemy, and that's going to have a major impact on the world. It's going to slow down growth. It's going to negatively impact everyone everywhere. And I think that's where the magic happened, where this working group was initially created,
Hmm.
created with the goal of establishing this framework, kind of something that would help us measure real data center impact in the communities. And for me, someone who's been in the industry for 15 years, I've led so many different global initiatives. My
Hmm.
heart still is with my hood in the Bronx and with wherever the future is going to take me next. I got tapped on the shoulder to really lead this program. And it was so exciting for me. It was an opportunity to really help people have that voice and make sure that the voices of our community know
Hmm.
that they absolutely have our attention. In all seriousness, we care. We recognize that this is a gap and that we need to engage with the communities better. And we need to listen to the members and the leaders about their concerns and work together to build those bridges.
Hmm.
Perception is just so important to both of these communities and the industry because at the end of the day, we should all be trying to be good neighbors in general so that we can support the infrastructure that's become so critical to everything we're doing every day. We don't just want to be in the community, we want to be of the community.
Hold on. That's an extremely important point. So of the community, not in the community, but can you explain the difference between those two?
Yeah, sure. So for us, being of the community really implies that you have a deep connection and integration within the community. It
Hmm.
suggests that an entity like a business or a data center or any kind of organization doesn't just operate within that community at X address, but it
Hmm.
also shares the values of those people, of the environment, and it actively participates and is invested in the well-being of that community. And I got to say, special thanks to Craig Huffman at Metro Data Centers. He really partnered with me on the creation of that kind of concept and
Hmm.
being tangibly of the community. On the other hand, being in the community is that address, right? It's that we take up this specific space. This is our physical presence, but it
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily imply that we have that strong connection or that active engagement with the community and what it really needs and is interested in.
Yeah, this is a really important point and also a key element of the report because many of the data center hubs have been very effective from an economic perspective. Like Loudoun County, where you live, is one of them, but that's only one dimension. And so providing economic benefits is good, right? But it's more in the I guess, in the community effort, because they are there, they're providing incentives, but are they truly connected? The pushback we are seeing, and what really came out of that, is data centers are seen as the enemy. That flip is mostly in the established markets, right? We're not effectively addressing the local challenges beyond the economic concerns. And I know that's tough to hear for a lot of people, but because we're doing a lot of the right things, but we're not of the community. So Siri, what else is missing here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love it. So it's very bold as well, right? What's missing? It takes a lot of courage to ask that question and try to even answer it. So, our goal for a data center to truly be of the community is involving that proactive ecological, economic, and social planning that's going to positively impact the local communities across these dimensions as much as possible. It's really the active engagement piece, that part of the community initiatives that means we're doing things like supporting local causes, hiring from the local talent pool, and even preserving or enhancing the local ecosystem, just to name a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And these efforts are a few more examples of how we can continue demonstrating our industry's efforts to be of the community and really lead to these stronger relationships and more cohesive and positive impacts. Compass Data Centers and their True North campus in Virginia is a great
Mm-hmm.
example of this, of really being of the community. They were listening to their concerns about noise complaints, for example, and they implemented a custom engineered solution to eliminate the issue. Not just, even though they were operating within their approved limits, that's real integrity and real acceptance of an action of diversity and inclusion, because everyone hears differently, everyone responds differently to something. So
Mm-hmm.
that's us and our industry not just listening, but truly acting on that.
Yeah, and this starts to expand those elements. Like, we've been looking at 1/3 of the problem, the economic thing, and we're doing well at that. There's more we can do with it, and we can replicate all over the world. But you'd also mentioned ecological and social. And what's interesting, you take the Compass example, that the noise complaints, noise pollution, just like other pollution, it affects people. The hum of generators and other things during that, even during the testing series. And I remember listening to someone as they're sitting out on their balcony going, "Yep, all right, well, that's that generator test," and then the next generator test. But they're hearing the noise. But so that's where we have to be able to take this back in and look at, there's an environmental component to this and a social component, because it impacts the people that live there. So let's and there's so many more examples of that, by the way. What I love is our community does care. I think they just need to see all the other parts and actually openly take that back in as we go in, because it's very easy to become defensive on this when they go, "Of course we are. Look, we added all this. We include, the infrastructure is built up, all these things." But are we truly addressing the local needs of the people that live there? That is, to me, how data centers become a good neighbor, is that to be of the community means that you actually are balancing. You may need to compromise and change things, just like Compass did, to ensure that it is a balanced community and things are working well for everybody that's there, not just the businesses, right? And that type of thing. So let's link the strategy of data centers being a good neighbor and becoming of the community. And again, in my opening, I shared that we strongly believe that it's essential that this growth occurs in an economically, ecologically, and socially responsible and sustainable manner. Whatever we build has to continue. It must be a balance between all three of them. So the question I have for you then is, how critical is this? And how can the industries and the communities partner for this monumental initiative that we've undertaken here?
Yeah, that's a really great point. I mean, if keeping it real, Dean, today data centers have become as critical to these communities as healthcare and enabling you to go see the doctor when you're sick, or even the farmers and the local markets that help you
Mm-hmm.
put food on the table each day, or even when you're asking for help and you're calling an emergency service response like the police or a fire department. I mean, our industry really is the underpinning in that physical infrastructure that's enabling people and communities to grow and continue to thrive. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like the blood in your body in a way, right? They're carrying nutrients everywhere you want them to go. And they're essential for storing, processing, and distributing vast amounts of data that's going to enable every aspect of our daily life. Dean, after your event in Scotland, we formed this data center as a good neighbor working group.
Mm-hmm.
And what emerged from this effort was the need for a playbook. something for engagement that can be applied in any local community, from Lagos, Nigeria, to my hometown in the Bronx, or my current neighborhood in the developed data center alley of Loudoun County, Virginia. It's really to set the groundwork for an actionable playbook that the industry is going to propose, that we
Mhm.
define being a good neighbor. What does that really mean? And we were proposing to use the framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Are you familiar with
Mhm.
those?
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit, because I remember when we first started this group. And by the way, when you got tapped on the shoulder and said yes, I was very happy because things are going to happen. So thank you for the leadership in that. But we had a whole bunch of conversations around how, what's the framework, what's the structure, how do you measure something like this? I mean, you truly need to be able to show impact and progress on those things. But I think it's important for people to understand what the UN Sustainability Development Goals are. So the SDGs, can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'll keep it kind of high level. So the SDGs were adopted by the UN around 2015, and it's a universal call to action to end poverty, to protect the planet, and to ensure that by 2030, all people were able to enjoy peace and prosperity. They're really a blueprint to achieve a better and a more sustainable future for everyone by addressing some of the big global challenges that are related to poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and even justice. These are 17 interconnected goals, and each
Mhm.
one of those goals has a range of targets with 1 to 4 indicators used to help measure that progress towards reaching those goals. And that action towards that target for one of the goals truly impacts the outcomes of the other goals as well. It's
Mhm.
completely interrelated. And the overarching intent is for us to achieve a balance across the 3 dimensions of ecological, social, and economic. And that aligns with the goals of the Data Center as a Good Neighbor playbook.
Yeah,
It's that
absolutely.
framework of the SDGs that really makes it globally applicable. That was really important to us, not just personally, but professionally. It's important to be relevant in every country and every context, right? That's what
Mhm.
diversity and true diversity and inclusion means, is that it can be applied everywhere where data centers are deployed today and where they're going to be tomorrow as the industry does continue to expand. So
Mhm.
the content of those SDGs is also in alignment with new and pending regulations, believe it or not. They're requiring corporate disclosures of environmental and social impacts, like the European Union's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and even the US Securities and Exchange Commission's climate-related disclosure rules. The
Mhm.
SDGs also align with other initiatives and frameworks that organizations are adopting to measure progress towards climate and sustainability targets. Like, probably many people have heard of the Science-Based Targets Initiative and
Mhm.
even the Task Force on Nature-Related Financial Disclosures, to name a few.
Yeah, this we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and so we structured the playbook around the 3 elements: the economic, ecological, and social. And it's very similar to like the climate accord, the way we looked at it. We came back around materials, equipment, and power. We had a structure, a framework that people could latch onto and follow. So can you expand on those 3 elements specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So you're absolutely right, Dean. You're hitting the nail on the head. We are looking at this from the 3 primary dimensions that coincide with the critical global needs. So
Hmm.
the first dimension being the ecological dimension, right? It's that data centers are truly at the forefront of sustainability, and we are powerful enablers, driving the positive impacts that are absolutely necessary and vital to reversing the effects of ecosystem degradation, right?
Hmm.
Without the planet, nothing else matters. That's just the reality. The
Hmm.
next one is that economic dimension. It's the data centers that are contributing significantly to that global economy. They are the ones attracting huge investments. They're creating so many direct data center jobs, but they're even creating many more indirect jobs in areas like construction, hospitality, supporting businesses, and enabling businesses to even be created. And the State of the Industry report even shares that for every 1 data center job, there are 6 jobs created in that area. I mean, that's just huge, huge impact. And that's really impacting everyone in their day-to-day at-home life, right? How you live and breathe every day. Data centers are truly essential for driving that innovation, that growth in the digital economy. And simply stated, if you want to be part of the digital economy, you need digital infrastructure in your community, right in your backyard to help support you.
Mhm.
And last but not least, it's that social dimension, right? It's the data centers that are enabling access to things like education, literacy, equality, equity, and so much more. And really, Dean, they're already, like you said earlier, many of the data centers demonstrating the goodness that comes from effective social community understanding and action. I got to give a huge shout out to my friend TJ Saccone over at Stack Infrastructure.
Yeah.
He's also based in Loudoun County, and he's been working on an incredible data center education and employment program at Northern Virginia Community College. And that's an opportunity where students are not just being provided with education, but they're also about 95% or more are coming out of that program with jobs already. And
There
this
you
is
go.
huge testament, right? It's a great example of that partnership between the data centers and the communities and how they're going to have an impact, not just on those kids, but the generations to come, their families, their children, even the
Mhm.
people who are coming in from related industries and upskilling themselves through that program of TJs. And, as a result of some of these factors, Dean, data centers have become completely indispensable infrastructure. They're just as equivalent to, like I said earlier, the local farmers, the doctors, the teachers, and making everyday life function no matter where you are in the global community. And a
Mhm.
perfect example is like COVID-19 pandemic, right? It was so critical that our infrastructure was there to enable the medical advancements that were needed to get through that, to even help bring some food security, to keep our kids in school during that time, which I know it was super tough, but we made it, everybody, and so much more, right? We were that underpinning.
Yeah, and that's we keep forgetting, like it was just 4 years ago where the world shut down, and the only way that we functioned, delivering food, medications, vaccine, all the other things, was because of digital infrastructure that had been built over the last 10 to 20 years. If we didn't have that, man, I think we would have gone into chaos in so many different areas. So yeah, totally. And by the way, just a little, everyone said, oh my goodness, this pandemic and this surge, we're going to come back down from capacity. It became the new baseline. Then AI hit, and now we're tripling. Like it's incredible, the growth itself. So I think we're scratching the surface here. So this is why it's so critical. So why don't I got another question for you. What are some of the key tenets of this initiative, right? And how are we working to ensure that that's globally relevant and achievable? Because you mentioned this needs to be a playbook that applies anywhere from Lagos, Nigeria, back into to your hood, right? So how expand a little bit more on that for us.
Yeah, that's another key question, Dean. So thanks. So we really want to ensure that the data center industry is working to be your good neighbor. The same way that you might go next door to ask for a cup of sugar or visit a sick friend or get advice. We want people to know that the industry's priority is to support you. That's why we do what we do. We may not be as well understood, right? Like you touched on a bit earlier, Dean. You may not understand us the same way you understand your local supermarket or the food market in your neighborhood, or even the power company that's keeping the lights on at home, or the water that's keeping you alive.
Mhm.
But we want to ensure that you understand we're there for you every day. We're making sure that we help to enable the video calls to grandma for her birthday. I know I talk to my grandma at least once a day, so that is so critical to my life and my kids. The cozy movie night on a rainy day, the development of that next life-saving vaccine, and really leveling the playing field for everyone to have access to connectivity, education, and opportunity everywhere in the world. And our goal is to establish this actionable playbook that sets this framework, this baseline for responsible, sustainable, and community-centered data center expansion. We
Mhm.
really want people to understand that this publication is just the beginning. We're learning how to walk here, everyone, and it's an iterative process for ongoing collaboration. So we can come together as neighbors on the key tenets of this impactful engagement identify ways for tangible measurement of the three dimensions, the ecological, the social, and the economic impacts, and create those action plans, monitor that progress, and transparently report back so that everyone sees the feedback loop and can help us continue to improve. I'm even really excited to announce, hopefully this is okay, but we're going to be releasing a series of case studies. So we're going to be exploring how this playbook really gets applied in day-to-day real world life. We're going to feature some real data centers, communities that me, you, and lots of people on the phone are in completely across the globe. So super excited to share that. And all in all, Dean, even though data centers have been around for a long time, we're still just learning how to walk. When it comes to that community engagement and being better neighbors, so I'm really proud, I'm really honored to represent this incredible initiative and to let everyone know that, yes, we know we got to work on things, but we're owning it, right? That's our courage right here. That's our vulnerability to you here today who's on the line, that we sincerely understand the need and we genuinely care about making sure we build these partnerships with the communities for a better future. And we've even enlisted a lot of great partners in this initiative. A few of the key strategic experts that are helping us leverage their experiences to make sure that we bring about the impact that you and your communities need sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I've been the executive sponsor of this work group, and really Cyre's the one that's been the glue that's tied this together, right? And this is a really important point that you just brought up. The work group isn't just talking about what we could do. We're literally bringing solutions, right, into all three dimensions, because we have to have something that's tangible that people can adopt and do. So can you share more about those three?
Yeah, of course. That's absolutely right. So, we're not just talking the talk here. We're really trying to walk the walk. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the three leaders of the dimensions, like Ruben Ocampo over at Conic Group, driving the social dimension, Kenna and Kevin Halsey at Ecosystem Intelligence, driving the ecological dimension, and Jim Grice and Tufam at Ackerman, driving the economic dimension. They're just a few of the truly passionate individuals and companies that are working to ensure we create this really positive, transformative impact for you today and for the generations to come. As a mom, I can speak to that from the bottom of my heart, that I don't work on anything that's just going to impact me. I'm working on something because I truly care about the world we're going to leave behind for our kids tomorrow. And we're working alongside some of these major data center owners and operators like Yonder, T5, and Eco Data Centers, to name a few, and even partners like Kohler and Schneider to deliver this first version of a playbook. And I say first version intentionally, to be really honest and establish this trustworthy foundation that's going to lay the groundwork for this influential community partnership that we're trying to establish. And as your Data Center Woman of the Year, it's really a testament to diversity and inclusion. It's because this framework is globally relevant and applicable to all communities, no matter where you are in the globe and no matter where you are in the stages of development. That's the magic that we've created in this first version of the playbook. And we're trying to even work with government relations experts. We're talking to council leaders, we're meeting with other representatives, and putting together this interconnected cyclical process for community involvement. The goal is to really ensure and pave the way for effective engagement. We don't want to just listen, but we want to listen and do something about it. And that's what's going to help you grow, help the industry grow, and make sure we're all thriving together. And like I said before, our heartfelt goal is not only to be in your community, but to really be of the community, connected to what matters most to the businesses, but more importantly, connected to what matters to the local people, the local ecosystem and environment, and sharing the values and enabling mutual growth for everyone, so everyone can have the best well-being they can have.
Yeah, there's so much to this. And I also love the fact that first three companies and individuals and leaders from those companies have come in to tackle all three, right? How do we go back ecologically and balance in those ecosystems? How do we have an effective economic impact within an area? And how do we ensure we fully integrate, listen, and adapt for the social component? So I'm excited for the playbook release. And Siri, there's so much more to talk about. We've been I can't believe 30 plus minutes has gone by already. But as we wrap up, can you share any calls to action that you have for those watching?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is really a system of systems that we've put together here. So, my first call to action is directed towards the private equity firms, the data
Hmm.
center owners and operators that are listening. If you want your projects to move quickly and responsibly, that's the key word. Please consider this playbook, consider the strategies here that we've put together. It's truly an effective guide to help you integrate digital infrastructure into every community cohesively, ensuring that there's growth for you guys and for the communities and respect for everyone. And the second call to action is for everyone that's listening, really. We need your help, guys. We need to better understand and learn the things that we don't know. In the
Mhm.
comments, whether you're watching this live today or whether you're commenting after watching the recording, please let us know your thoughts. Send me a message or comment here and tell us how you think the industry can do better and continue to enable that ecological, economic, and social partnership and well-being for all of your local communities. No matter what country or city you're in, we want to hear from you. We want you to basically come and sit on the virtual sofa right next to me and Dean and help us learn how to become part of your community. So, Dean, just thanks for having me. It's been so awesome chatting with you and everyone here about this initiative. I can't wait to start releasing these case studies.
I love it. You said virtual sofa. That's awesome. So, by the way, our first guest should be your nephew Palmer.
That'd
That's
be awesome.
we
Thank
definitely should
you.
have him on because he's got such a perspective.
Oh,
And
yeah.
okay, so look, there's much more to do here, but I also want to thank you, Siri, again for your industry leadership and passion for this. As I said in the opening, you have a unique background that is so applicable and so aligned to this because it's genuine, right? So we can fully effective address the perception challenges because it's from somebody that is of the community, that is in our industry as well, that can go back and help organize and structure this together for something that can be applied around the world.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yep,
much, Dean.
you got it. Thanks for joining me, Siri. All right. So as you can see from our conversation, perception has emerged as one of the most critical components for our industry to meet the unprecedented global demands across the globe. It is the tripling of infrastructure. While every community needs digital infrastructure to fully participate in the digital economy, it is on us to figure out how we can balance all three dimensions: economic, ecological, and social. To be a good neighbor and truly be of the community. So as we wrap up, I want to remind everyone of the available resources you can leverage as we all go through this this effort here. There's a ton of them. The hold on one second here. I'm going to pull up a few of these things just to make sure I've got them right. The I believe so. If you go to sorry, one second here. My list went away. So the challenges, or as we wrap up, those resources themselves are first off the state of the industry report and the launch video that we put out last month. Second are all four of these LinkedIn live stream recordings. First is the Power live stream with Colby Cox, People with Heather Dooley, Planet with Miranda Gardner, of course, the Perception one here with Cyre Denny. We also have a number of recent publications fostering gender inclusivity in the data center industry, the best practice guides to building apprenticeships, which I think is going up today. And this is all from the iMasons D&I committee. And of course, the upcoming Data Center as a Good Neighbor playbook on how to effectively integrate digital infrastructure into local communities. All of these resources and more are available on imasons.org under the Insights section. That's imasons.org/insights. So thanks again to Cyre for joining me today and to help connect the dots around the industry perception challenges and how data centers become good neighbors and of the community by balancing industry growth in an economically, ecologically, and socially responsible and sustainable manner. The iMasons community is united in delivering a greater digital future for all. Thanks again for attending.